Go ahead. Ladies first, yeah.
I'm Joan Green.
And I'm her husband. Married 30 years ago. Yeah.
While you're here, do you want to do a renewing of the vows?
In our chair, sure.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, that would require we have a ceremony and we would go out to eat. We've been trying to take.
Yeah, we just ate.
Yeah. We try to take the dance lessons or whatever.
Yeah.
Too,
Well, working with preschoolers, as you can imagine, doing Zoom meetings with preschoolers was extremely challenging. Kids would get in front of the camera, on their home computer, and then, of course, they would get bored and run off and do something else. And you're trying to, teach and do a lesson, and they lost interest because that connection, that human connection, was so vital to their learning experience that they didn't have that, over the Zoom camera thing. So, and a funny story is one time while we were trying to have class, one of the students showed up with no shirt, no pants, and was just in their underwear. So, and their parent, I'm sure, was mortified, but you have to keep a straight face. You have to be professional. You can't laugh because, they're showing up with just their underwear, but that's, typically preschool. So it was extremely challenging, and, most of the kids that I work with have speech problems, and so, to get the accurate speech sounds from them and was difficult, because, they have to watch your lips when you pronounce words and when you say words, and, that distance with having a camera, and plus they have, little attention spans, it was just an extremely difficult year. So it was challenging, but we made it through. So.
And then you actually had kids there, I think, last school year. Right?
Yeah, that was 2 years ago. But last year, I was able to go to work, and I worked every day. So, but it was tough because, I had to wear a shield and then I had to wear a mask, and, I move my body a lot too. Like whatever the kids are doing, I'm doing. And, my shield would go down. Like I would pull it down. It wasn't one that went up, it would go down. So I'd be jumping and my shield would flop down and hit some kid on the head. And I'm like, great, more paperwork, because I just banged a kid on the head with my shield. So, but thankfully this coming year, I just read that I don't have to wear a mask and the kids don't have to wear masks. So I'm really grateful for that.
So far, yeah.
So what helped get you through some of those difficulties?
I think positively thinking, being able to brainstorm, come up with different ideas on how to reach families and children. I thought your emails, your positive emails, Dan, were very encouraging because you would always send verses, that were encouraging. And like we said at lunch, like I have my private time with the Lord every morning. So every morning I ask for wisdom and grace and more patience. And so, the Lord definitely helped me a lot. So
I think I found a lot of benefit in the early messages. Even it was in your basement of your house. Just kind of knowing, okay, there is a piece of normal going on right now. You think of, back to March of 2020 and April, we had to make some tough decisions all across the board, and one of them was to close church, for a little while and try to figure out what do we do? How do we safely make that happen? And see, it's funny. Joanie says that seeing some of the kids running around in their homes. Even for a church service, we had some of that, and it was neat even to see you guys here, putting faces in the chairs, and just some of the smaller things let us connect, I think, and get that social piece that we weren't getting from work, I think, and so I think that was beneficial for us, and even Zoom chats of kind of getting on midweek. I think it was the midweek ones that I think the first ones was everybody trying to figure out how to turn their microphones off and all that. It was a fun learning process, but it was neat to see folks, even if they would disappear for a minute and then come back on because they hit the video instead of the mute button or something on their Zoom thing, which I think I still do on Zoom meetings. But it was a good connection, I think, to get to see the folks that we got to see every week, and weren't able to do that anymore. So it was nice to kind of feel that coming back. As far as work goes, for me, I think I had that same struggle, a little bit different role. it's a little bit more of a global and less hands-on than Joan's role. Joanie has the privilege of working directly with people with developmental disabilities and school-age kids, typically functioning. And our drive, I think, all along prior to the pandemic was how do we enable somebody who is eligible for our services to just live like the rest of us, do things in the community and enjoy. And so then we're like, let's get out, let's let's do all these things, and then all of a sudden everything's like we're shutting you all down, and being stuck in a home. The emotional part of some of us seeing that we spent many decades really in our field trying to get people out, get folks to be integrated and be part of a community. They're no longer. We're all kind of sheltered down again, and I think that was just tough. I think it went against our entire philosophy, and so we found ourselves, even from our end, like Riverside, from our side is service coordination. We do early intervention in-home services with families, which we had to switch to virtual during the pandemic. We have many people who live in our Miami County community that need our services that. From a variety of things. We may come in and help them do some shopping, or we may be there 24/7 for somebody. And those 24/7 homes were the toughest ones for us because some of those supports that we had, we were already in a workforce crisis, and we didn't have enough labor and people to do those jobs in the first place. And then the pandemic hit, and then you have people kind of stuck in those homes, and the fear of, am I going to bring something in and out of there? We didn't know a whole lot about the pandemic. And so we're taking massive amounts of precautions, and if I remember early on in the pandemic, it was how do we protect, how do we get all this stuff to keep ourselves protected? And everybody's kind of gathering all these PPE. I don't even know what PPE was before the pandemic. Yeah. But, we're trying to get all these things to kind of protect everybody. And then we had it all kind of taken care of, and we hit it to summertime, and it was people kind of relaxed. And then it was almost like we practiced for what we really got that hit us. And towards the fall, and it hit us early on. We had lost some folks to the virus early in the pandemic, and that woke us up. It was, and national stats show that the people that we serve are roughly at least twice as likely to pass away if they did get the virus. So we took that very seriously in our field. With our employees, we did the same thing. How do you maintain your culture, keep everybody kind of engaged when they're all behind computer screens at home, and how do you integrate back in? And I think we were able to make good decisions based off of how to work with our employees, treat them like adults, and let them do their jobs. And they proved to us, I think, that they could over that time. And we're finding ourselves coming out of it really kind of better off, saying I think that we're more efficient and can do things a little bit better. Based off just the trust and that we've had with our good people that work for us. And it helped me, I think, personally, to not have to make all those decisions myself. I'm lucky I have a really good team. I'm fortunate that the school superintendents invite me into some of their meetings, their management meetings that they have, and I can see what that world is doing, and then we can adjust our plans for that. So that helped me a lot. I think the things that I struggle with outside of the work component is that I'm a routine-based kind of person, and I didn't get, like Joanie's time spending doing her devotionals and prayer and all that were probably prior to leaving home in the morning, and mine was, I'm a prayer driver, I guess. I pray when I drive, and I wasn't driving anywhere, and so it really hamstrung me, I think, for what I was, for my walk and trying to really lean on the Lord to help me, through some of these things. And so I found myself leaning on other things like team members or people I know, and just where the natural button would be to go to prayer. What helped me, I think, is early this year, actually, towards January, I had a couple of guys I knew, one from Partners in Hope, from being on the board there, and another from actually a person that used to work with me at my work who's goes to another church in town. They're part of a men's Bible, I don't want to call it a men's Bible study. We kind of get together, we go over some lessons, but they meet on Saturday mornings and kind of talk about what their struggles were. I think they call it, there's three things, have you had a chance to witness to somebody? Have you had a chance to encounter, grow, and what are those? And just hearing other people's stories, their struggles and things like that was really started feeding me again on what I had been missing, and then from there trying to find those times that I was intentional about trying to connect and do my prayer and on all that with with the Lord was helpful. So kind of nice. That accountability piece is what I was missing. I wasn't going physically to church, for a while. I wasn't going on a regular basis through routines, and I didn't have that. Oh, this is my time to do this, and I wasn't intentional during the pandemic to make that happen. So I struggled a little bit with that, but yeah, I certainly missed that. But I always said, Joanie always sets a nice example. If I see her, I got to do that. So that was always helpful too.
Yeah, I was intentional, like during that shutdown time. Like I listened to a lot of sermons. Like in your emails, you said turn the news off, read your Bible. I remember that clearly, and that's exactly what I did. I turned the news off because the news was starting to steal my joy, and I didn't like that. So, because I like to be joyful. I mean, who doesn't, So I turned the news and TV off, and I intentionally just listened to sermons on YouTube or wherever, and then read my Bible more. And I was more intentional that during that time, and so that was extremely helpful for me.
Yeah, and that helped me too, because I hear you go through some of that, and then I did the same thing. I stopped watching as much news, and you're right. I think we had a little bit more enjoyment. I think, and it's like, why do we worry about things we can't control?
Yeah.
I mean, we would just sometimes watch the news, and then we would just kind of go, and then we waste 30 minutes talking about something we have no control over.
Yeah.
And we're like, just let's do something that we can. So I think work on more constructive pieces that help. I feel like I have finally got back on the track again, and doing well. But I think I have overcome. I think things that have been thrown our way. But I also feel like we've been very fortunate. I don't think we've had to go through some things that some other families said. We both had good jobs, both jobs that were maintained. We still stayed very engaged, I think. And that we didn't have some worries that some folks. I could not imagine if I was in food service or some some things that you had to kind of worry about alternative types of ways to make ends meet. We were very fortunate, I think, in that, and so I think we had it easier than other people, I think, there, and we're very fortunate that we did on that. I just picture these poor, like Garrett, having to go through his senior year. Halfway through the year, this pandemic hits, and you can't say your goodbyes to other students as well. You get your graduation, but it was a weird kind of graduation. No prom. You're not in. Yeah, it's such your senior year of high school. You think you would want to remember. Even when you're on the last, the final stretch, it's a little bit more fun. So, just seeing how some folks had it a lot harder, I think, and had to, your heart goes out to to some of their situations. I think I think I had it easy, so it's hard to say I overcame. I think
I think I overcame like the world stealing my joy. Like just from your helpful tips of emails and saying, read your Bible more and turn off the TV. Just small things, because I would watch TV and I would like be instantly depressed just from what they said on the TV, which is silly, but because it was always bad news, and that email was, turn your TV off and read your Bible more, and that's exactly what I did. And then I got, my joy returned, and so I overcame what the world was telling me. That was, I don't know, not true or true, I don't know, but it was stealing my joy. I didn't like that, so.
I would piggyback on with your influence. I probably have overcome myself. I'm just following your lead, I think, on it. That's true. Yeah, I just kind of refocused where we're.
So we appreciate your emails, and because that's very helpful.
Yeah.
So. And you're, giving us verses to overcome those things.
Yeah, and seeing the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
And just being a kind of a glimmer of hope. For such a definitely during the earlier days, of what is going on here.
Right.
Like really understand. It's almost like we're all in this hurricane of what's going on, and we can't leave, or there's so many rules, and then there's the rules that overrule those, and you don't even know which one you're supposed to follow. And then you see some constant that's a piece of your life, and somebody giving you hope that hey, it's going to be all right. We'll figure this out, and we're all here, and just the right words at the right time, I think, to hit us at the right message. It's interesting because there's so many phases to the last 18 months or so. We're like, you're, what is this thing? We got to be really serious. And then in the summertime, you're like, I'm kind of done with it. And then it started to get really bad, and you're like, oh no, then we got to really pay attention. And then and then you're getting through that, and then everybody's this summer just done. we're just absolutely, now we're talking about something else coming. So I think the right message at the right time was very, very helpful. I think during the early days.
Oh, well, on a side note, I want to publicly thank everyone for praying for our family and praying for Diana and how powerful and meaningful that has been for our family. My faith has just quadrupled. I mean, I really am so grateful for the power of prayer and how everyone has pulled together for that little lamb, because she is a miracle, and I'm just so grateful, and I give God all the glory because he has, shown his grace and mercy and power, just on our family through that little child. So I'm so thankful to everyone. So I just want to publicly say thank you.
Yeah, I would echo that too. There's something about going to see a premature birth and see that she's the size of my coffee mug, and when we hear, her coo or so, and it sounds, her voice box is so small, it's the sound of like a little animal almost, like you would hear, it wouldn't even sound natural, and you think, how can God keep, we have, of course, science and everything else that's kind of involved, but how can you take something so soon out of in a situation, less than 200 years ago, there would be no hope for, and even less than, and have the success and see her, thrive like she is. It just touches your heart, and knowing that there's so many people that have reached out to us in the church and friends and all of it are all praying for her to just continue to develop and put weight on. It's just such a humbling experience. We talk about things that are just completely out of your own control. We talk about not watching the news, but we can't see and go and touch and be there, until she's healthy enough to come out of the hospital. So literally, the only thing we can do is pray. And sometimes they go, people go through tragedy and say, "Oh, you have my thoughts and prayers, my thoughts and prayers, my thoughts and prayers." But in this situation, it just, I think I felt it from folks, and we went through some hard losses this year, with Dad passing and just kind of those types of family pieces. This specific one for us, we've just seen miracle after miracle after miracle happen, and she's had her struggles, in developing, and just to see those, just put a call out and say, boy, any prayers are helpful, and then see her overcome, medical terms and things that I had no idea about. Like, I don't know, being a premature baby, I didn't know a whole lot about all that until, Brittany had, premature birth, but just, seeing those miracles happen is neat, and feeling it and witnessing it every day is really cool.
Thanks.
Sure.
I'm so grateful for you both.
Yeah,
thank you.
Thanks for the chat.
Yeah.
Thanks for sharing it.
Just edit it out so we sound smarter than.
Yeah.